All right, thank you very much for joining us here on United and Everything Football Podcast. You're once again welcome. This is our big preview to the first game of the season. We are back. Yes, the Premier League is back. And as always expected, we make it big for you. Unfortunately, this year, we couldn't bring you the Avengers. But at some point in the year, we will gather the Avengers again at some place, some coded location, and bring you the Avengers. But before that, today we are joined by two of Ghana's finest commentators. If you've ever watched any football game broadcasted by Super Sports, by GTV, by Star Times, you would hear the voice of these two gentlemen. One always with us on this podcast. And for the first time, our big brother, Benjamin Willie Graham, is joining us for the first time on the United and Everything Football Podcast. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for joining us.
Welcome.
Great to have you on
the
podcast.
It's a pleasure, guys. It's a pleasure. I've always been watching and I'm like, yo, guys, you can't do United and leave me out. That's not fair.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's great to have you. All right.
That's not fair.
Kwame, how are you?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel I've had a roller coaster of emotions today, up and down. I don't know how to deal with the latest information at my club, but I think you guys will help me get through it. So let's just do this.
As always, you know what to do. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And also, if you don't like this video, don't continue to play it. Pause, like the video, and then let's move on. Remember to leave a comment with us as well. It's always a pleasure to have you. Let me make a quick turnaround. When I come back, I'll get my guys and we'll go deep into the issues here on United and Everything Football. All right, thank you very much. Welcome back to United and Everything Football Podcast. As always, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, share the videos, and leave a comment with us. Sicho, today, the boys, they fight you for Twitter. They say you don't believe in Amarim. What is your problem?
Amarim hasn't shown me enough to trust that he will make Man United as competitive as we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I desperately want to be wrong, but I'm not going to be here and say because I want to be optimistic. I'm going to override my hunch on what I've seen of him so far. The squad we have is a lot better than what we used to end the season the last term. And without Champions League football and no distraction in midweek, I'm expecting the manager to be in and around the top four and maybe try to compete at some point in the season. But the thing is, Amarim's system is too rigid and it's not flexible. It's good when it works, but in the Premier League, coaches and managers figure you out quickly. So you need to be in game, be able to adapt, right? When the situation is tough, you need to tweak something to get a team to look different, to operate differently. Unfortunately, I've not seen enough of that in Amorim's coaching since taking the helm at Man United. And that is why so far I don't necessarily really track him, but I desperately want to be wrong. I want the season to start. I want him to prove him wrong. I want him to use the team to beat teams that keeps Man United competitive. So yeah, that's my hunch so far. But that doesn't mean that is what I want to see happening. But that is what I objectively think about the coach.
Graham, let me get to you. I mean, it's been since November last year, since Amarim has been around. This is just by way of initial thoughts on the coach, and because we've not heard your views before, so what do you make of him, and what do you make of what he's trying to put together for the team?
I think that first and foremost, every coach has his or her own philosophy. And if you go back into time when we had the likes of Ferguson, you remember that he always thrived with a certain system where his wingers and his attackers were always sharp. And so you had sometimes back, you had Tevez, you had Rooney, you have Ronaldo, and they were just explosive all over the place. Let's go back again. After he left and David Moyes came, he also came with his own philosophy. It didn't work out. and we also went for Louis van Gaal. And again, he also was a very rigid coach in terms of his tactics. Again, it also didn't work for Man United. Even though we won an FA Cup, he was sacked the following day after that. It's something that he scares United. I mean, at any time you hear the name United, this man is
He will
always
never
angry.
forgive you.
then you come to Mourinho, also has his own style. And then again, we said he was not making the players fluid. He was rigid. He also had to leave. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, short glimpses of Alex Ferguson's style at the point. Then again, the second or third season, we were getting wallowed by a lot of teams, and then he also had to go. And you were talking about who also and came after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, yes, of course. We also complain about the team not being fluid. Now, why am I a little bit? I won't say I'm indifferent about Amarim because of how Eric Ten Hag left. But again, what was the reason we picked it? What philosophy was he playing at Sporting that sport that was working? That we thought that we needed him at United. When he came, what materials were available for him to work with? We were complaining about Sancho. We had complained about what's the name? Anthony. We had complained about Rashford. These were players who ordinarily were supposed to explode for Man United, but they were not functioning. Yeah. And we said Eric Ten Hag was not making them function. And then Amarim comes in, he tries them 1-2, and he realizes that, listen, I'm not going to get what I want. We all know he likes the 3-back. He said it. He's not going to change. Yeah. He likes the 3-back. So what he means is that he needs his wing backs to be effective. That is what has worked for him. So now he goes in for the players that today you and I would want to see whether they can blow so much United. In Mbeumo, we saw his explosive work at Brighton. We saw Cunha at Wolverhampton. We saw what he was doing. Now you've gone for Šeško. So are we going back to an explosive front three? And then now we're talking about the midfield. So the only problem perhaps we have now is the midfield and see if it can work out. So I just want to see the first game, basically, the first game against Arsenal. And that would inform my objective opinion about how the season is going to go. Because last season, remember, Eric Ten Hag started with a false nine nonsense, that false nine thing. And the first game we struggled against Fulham. Yeah. And then eventually he continued about 10 games and then we messed up. So let's see how it goes with this one.
Let's see how it goes this one. Kwame, Graham mentioned something about the midfield, something we've always been talking about. I mean, it's not a subject new on this podcast. Just this afternoon, Austin Bomber came, but it wasn't a bomber for us. It was a bomber against us. In effect, Brighton are not ready to listen to anything. They're not even ready to quote a price. They know.
Sometimes you get some news and then you're not surprised, but at the same time you're disappointed.
Yeah, I understand.
My disappointment stems from, I'll lace it with everything Sito and then Graham have said. Yeah, I'm sure they are on opposing sides, but they are being diplomatic with the way they are making their submissions. but I get that energy that they are in complete opposite ends. So I'll try and bridge the gap in, or probably just light a flame so that they go at it. But my issue with not getting this midfielder is I don't want excuses for the manager. I'm just going to say it. From the beginning of the window, I've been saying, get this manager the players that he wants, preferably his first choices, so that when the season starts, people don't start pointing at the deficiencies in the squad when things aren't going well. That's my issue. That's where my disappointment lies. But like Sito said, and like I said in the previous pod, my issue is this 3-back system. In the first place, I don't even like it. Facts. And the fact that he is rigid about the system even pisses me off the more. What you would want to see is an evolution to how he actually coaches the system. Evolution being the sense that, fine, he said he wanted to establish a base, right? With how the team wants to play, how everybody wants to see Manchester United going forward. Yeah. But then if the base is then established, we can then make some tweaks to the system. I'm yet to see that. I don't even believe he can do it because I feel he's a limited manager in terms of what he can do. But maybe he might prove me wrong. There's the prove me wrong bit that we are all waiting for. But what have we seen till this point to suggest that he can do the job? I don't think we've seen much. We can only give him the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, it's a fresh new start. He's had a 6-month head start. He knows a lot more about the league now, a lot more about the club. He has reset the culture in a way. So if we get off to a fly, then everything will just change for the better. There's more hope than anything logical, should I say. It's kind of hard for me to fathom that things can just drastically change for the better, just by virtue of the fact that a lot of things have happened now. The midfield is not as strong as it should be, right? But I always say this to you. I always say, look at Palace midfield. Palace play the same system, right? It's the Kamada or something, the Japanese guy.
Kamada.
Yeah.
Kamada is not better than Bruno Fernandes in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Watson is streaks ahead of even Ugarte. Trust me, he's not. It's just about good coaching. It's the same system, the same players in the system. But even over the course of preseason, I wouldn't say we let things up, right? You are still yet to see that everything has come together, everything explosive and exciting has come together. Perhaps it does start when the season does start, but I've not seen enough. I simply haven't. I hope I'm wrong as well. I really do.
Anyway,
and Tommy, the positive I have, the one positive I have about the players that Ineos are signing, and credit Ineos for the kind of players they're signing, because even if this manager doesn't work, the next manager who comes would have something good to work with. And the next manager that comes, this team for me is not even necessarily a full-blown 3-back team that is so fixated on the system, fact that the new manager who comes to struggle to change it to a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. You've got enough good players in this side for the current manager to tweak it if he wants, or if he fails and goes, the next manager to come in the middle of the season and tweak things to make the team competitive. Mm-hmm. So I like some of the signings Ineos have made, because generally they've got some very good players around.
A very interesting one.
They were not buying players for the manager.
The manager.
That was the whole thing about the whole. That they're not buying players for a manager. For the club.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things we've spoken about countlessly. I mean, regarding not necessarily saying this is a Mourinho player or this is an Erik ten Hag player, but this player for Manchester United that any coach comes in and is able to do something with. But Graham, how do you solve this midfield conundrum? I mean, now that Baleba isn't coming, Brighton have taken a hard line stance. They're not even going to quote a price for you to even negotiate. So it looks as if that particular move isn't happening, at least this summer. How do we solve this midfield problem?
There's always this law theory that I always like. Batna and Watna. They are the Siamese twins in contract negotiations. Your best alternative to a negotiated agreement and your worst alternative to a negotiated agreement. So you go to Brighton. What's your best alternative? What's your best alternative if Brighton says I'm not selling?
Yeah.
And what's your worst alternative if Brighton says I'm not selling? So I always tell people that anytime you are on a normal day, if you are going for a contract negotiation, you have these two twins in your bag. That whilst you're negotiating, you have it. So you are going for Baleba. You've got your midfield of Menu, you've got your Ugarte, you've got your Bruno Fernandes, you've got all these boys there that ordinarily, what do they need to perform? What is it in Baleba that you think that United, in fact, Casemiro is also there, that you think United need? So that you go into Brighton, Baleba is one of their topmost player. Yeah. And Brighton says, I'm giving you have to pay £115 before I can give you. And you look into your coffers and you have Sancho sitting down, not ready to move. You've got Anthony sitting down, not ready to move. You're not freeing up space for you. What is your best alternative in this scenario? And what's your worst alternative? So the worst alternative for United at the moment is that we are going to stick to what we have and get them to improve. I don't think that, if you ask me, Baleba can be the future of United. That is, if he doesn't come this particular summer window. Maybe January, maybe. Because at that time, I'm sure Brighton may have softened their stance a little, because it's more like everybody's rushing to Brighton to get players from there. That is what I see. Because you picked up Mbeumo from Brighton and you're going back again.
That's
Brentford, yeah.
From Brentford.
Yeah, sorry, Brentford. Yes, sorry. I mean, you go to Brighton and you remember that Brighton have already sold one of their players to AC Milan. What's his name? He's going for £17 million.
Estupiñán, yeah.
Yeah, one top
And
player.
Stupinian has left. Joao Pedro has moved to Chelsea.
Yeah. So if you go to Brighton, I think they are Brighton, Brentford. They are these teams that they they have a very good way of getting very quality players cheap, and then everybody goes for them. But I'm not sure Brighton would want to give you for free like that. So what's the worst alternative? And then look at the league is starting just Sunday, and they are not coaching. What does it tell you? They're not ready to go because they don't even know their game plan going into the season. Because if Baleba goes, who's replacing? So they need to get a replacement first before they can even let the player go. That's number one. So the question is, I was not really enthused about the conversation, especially looking at the timing. And I knew, looking at the timing, Brighton were going to be overly difficult. I knew. So, like I said, at this moment, what is the worst alternative to Man United's negotiation with Brighton? And what is the worst alternative? And as I said, the worst alternative is to go with what you have. The best alternative at the moment is to sit and wait. That's it. That's really
you really do think that's the best alternative? No, I don't agree with you. I think the best alternative is to look for an alternative.
Yeah,
the best alternative is to look for an alternative. You don't say the best alternative is I did not get my first choice.
No, but again, you see that Kwame, the thing is, the league is starting. Other leagues are starting very soon. But before I let my player go, what is my replacement?
Graham, the league is starting, but the window hasn't ended. And
closed.
The league isn't 3 weeks. The league is 8 months.
Yeah.
Back to your theory. I'm just going to use your own theory. When you go into such negotiations, you have your best alternative. You have your worst alternative. You know before you enter that room, you could have a no answer. Once you know before you enter that room, you could have a no answer. You should have a backup option. Right? Okay. That's how come there's always a list. They go like first choice, my second choice, my third choice, my fourth choice. So if you are not going to get Baleba, you cannot tell me that with all the scouting that we've done, with all the appointments that we've done, with Bevel and everybody, they do not have somebody in mind as a suitable enough replacement with or without the qualities that this particular player has.
I mean, Brighton would also delay because they need a replacement. Even if Brighton is ready.
No, I'm saying forget about Brighton. We are no longer going for this player. Like, what next?
So what next? I'm saying that when I'm picking report that the coach mentioned Baleba like he's the only player I want, and I'm saying that regardless of the fact that there may be other alternatives for him, that's what he wants. And I'm saying that if it is Baleba that United so much wants, what alternative are they going to have at this level? When the coach himself played the reporter is or nothing, what are you going to wait for?
I don't think the report is exactly
that's what I said.
Nothing. The report is this is my first option, but if we don't have this as the first option, United will be looking for alternatives. Already, the guy who used to captain, is the captain of Sporting Lisbon.
But guys,
the Danish player, it's an alternative. I don't see anything wrong with going for such a player.
Let me come in. So I get Graham's points, right? Make sure that we can back it up, sit and wait, and let make sure and hope that the options that we have actually work. But let me get to Sichu and pick his thoughts on this whole thing. Sichu, this midfield thing has reared its head for some time. I mean, the problem is so glaring that we lack intensity. We lack the player to be able to carry the ball. We lack the player to be able to do that box-to-box work for us. How do we go about it?
Well, truth of the matter is that Baleba could as well come into the team and that won't necessarily fix what we think the midfield lacks. Yeah. I've always said it's down to instructions and what have you. Because if you've got a group of and let me say this first. I personally don't think that based on the way the manager plays now, there is any combination in the options we have in midfield that fits. Bruno Ugarte doesn't fit. Ugarte mainly doesn't fit. Your best bet could be Ugarte Capimero, but that's a job. That only makes it, if you like, a bit more combative, right? So you've got a physical presence in there. Ugarte could cover some grounds.
And it doesn't could put in the tackle. It doesn't progress.
Limited in ball progression, isn't it?
Limited in ball progression, limited in first phase of build-up,
Yes,
right?
first phase.
And
Yes.
so there isn't any midfield combination in the team that necessarily works.
Mm.
I also don't think Ruben Amorim's team is very fixated on building up from the back. Like it's not so conk, it's not PSG, Man City-ish, Barcelona-ish kind of build-up, right?
Yeah.
So smart coaching could as well use a more robust midfield, but find another way of starting your play from the back without involving the midfielders. Because if you've got some of your best players as your wing backs, if you've got some of your best players as your wide centre backs, then maybe just maybe you don't need your two central midfielders to be always involved in the first phase of build up when they can be dangerous. But
Okay.
that is another matter. That one comes down to coaching. But I think that ultimately the one person that we need in the middle of the park is somebody comfortable enough,
Mhm.
if not necessarily progress the ball, take the steam out of the game
Mhm.
when everything is going haywire. And that's the biggest problem I have with this Man United side.
Mm.
There isn't one person in the middle of the park. And people think Kobe Mainoo is that guy.
Mm.
Kobe Mainoo is that guy in the final third. But in the first third, in our own half, he's not that guy,
Mm.
right? So I don't want him there. So everything has got a big problem on his. No, Amorim has got a big problem on his hand with the way he plays. That is why I agree with what Kwame said. I don't want the excuses because even the midfielders that we've got that I think they are not best fit. Some smart coaching can get the team through the season well,
Mhm.
right? But I don't want to give any excuse to this coach. So for me, what do we think? First of all, what do we think is the kind of midfielder the coach wants? Is it Baleba kind of midfielder who's an enforcer who can run with the ball, or is he the one who can calm things in the middle of the park like Adam Watson?
Mhm.
So if you've got Adam Watson and maybe Baleba in the middle of the park, it could as well be a perfect combination. Why? Baleba could be your box, carries the ball, runs the ball, very busy, covers ground, high tackler. Adam Watson could be that one who keeps it calm, plays the simple pass, but progressive pass and what have you.
But since you're not to catch you, you're suggesting an alternative being Adam Watson for now. If
Yes.
United still has interest in Baleba, you go
In
for him
Baleba.
next season to complement
Yes.
Adam Watson. Now you have a combative, more dynamic midfield, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you just don't sit
So
and say we don't do nothing and wait till next season.
no, I'm
Let-
not. I think
No,
we
no,
shouldn't
no.
do
But
nothing. I think we should
but
do
but
something.
Kwame,
Look,
Sijo,
I'm saying
Sijo, sorry,
Graham, go
Did
ahead.
you follow the team at the preseason
Mm.
against Everton, against what's the name, Bournemouth, right?
Mhm.
yeah.
And I saw something. Two games against Everton. I saw a lot of Euro carrying the ball from the back and trying to initiate the attack.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
can try and look at it. And then I think again I saw Cunha dropping deep to pick the ball and spreading the passes
Mhm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
running into the center.
Okay.
So I am looking at a situation where if this is how he wants to look at where Cunha plays, he's trying to get him involved to start the attack because one, he's very skillful, two, he can run and spread the passes. So this is what I saw. In the interim, when we don't have the alternative that we are talking about, is this how he intends to play? Because that was where when Sicho mentioned about the first phase of attack, and I'm saying that I've seen Euro and I've seen Cunha
Mhm.
in those two games what they try to do,
Yeah.
and later on that even led to the discussion about the position of Haaland when attack is moving because he's always not the guy in the box to
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
pounce on some of these things. So I am thinking perhaps that is something that the coach is also trying to work with, especially with Cunha. That's what I'm thinking.
No, yeah, that could as well work. That's what I'm saying. That for me, it comes down to smart coaching. I'm thinking if you're not going to get Baleba, then go and get Watson. But there's a big difference between the two of them. And that is why I want to be careful here in choosing them because what Baleba offers is different from what Adam Watson will also offer the team, even though both of them are very good, right? Now, my thing is, and your theory, I was going to actually, that was something I picked up, and I have a conversation with a regular guest here, Danny K, the last time. If, if, if you've got Watson and Ugarte in the middle of the park,
Mm-hmm.
in the initial phase of build up, push Ugarte up, allow Adam Watson to start the build up. That is if you sign him. The other thing too is we saw that apart from progression of the ball, especially in the game where the Leeds played in the middle of the three back, apart
Mm-hmm.
from Euro progressing the ball. Delete, when the team was offensive, was very high up into the midfield. He almost sat alongside Casemiro most of the time. But that thing as well could work in a team that can keep the ball long enough in long spells in the opponent's half. When that happens, you are able to get another midfielder. In this case, if you have Bruno Fernandes and Ugarte at central, something I think the coach will be tempted to try. I don't buy that, but he'll be tempted to try. Bruno could well progress, and then either Euro or Delete sits alongside Ugarte. I prefer Euro, who is more comfortable on the ball, who is more athletic on the turn, on the half turn and what have you, who could push alongside the midfielder. But again, it all comes down to smart coaching, instructions, discipline. And this coach hasn't convinced me that he's malleable enough to coach a system that can be as sophisticated as what we think we saw cameos of in preseason. The reason why getting another midfielder that makes the dynamics in the middle of the park for the team a lot better. Because if he doesn't work out and you bring in another manager, the team you are building is a player or two away from being able to compete for top four or shocking everybody and pushing for the very top with only one game a week.
Anyway, I mean, I've enjoyed this part of the conversation because some of the points that Sichu made buttresses, and Graham also made buttresses an article I read from The Athletic, which sought to explain Amarim's football and why midfielders are not so pivotal, especially in the first phase of build-up. And even went ahead to prove that if you look at the build-up that United were doing, a lot of it were down to two players who didn't play often last season. And that was Lenny Euro and then Lisandro Martinez. Because he expects that his wide centre-backs, not the middle one, the wide centre-backs, will be able to play those penetrating passes to people within the wing-backs. I mean, those diagonals. Because if you watch it very well, they try to overload one side, and then there is a switch because, how do you call it? A wing-back has freed himself in an extreme position with a lot of space to be able to do something. Well, we'll see how it goes. I want to get us into the game against Arsenal. But in the next 4 minutes, we'll go for a break. And when we come back, we'll do that. But let me get to Kwame's. Let me pick his thoughts. Kwame. Kwame, let me pick your thoughts. Arsenal.
Kwame should run now.
Oh, not necessarily. Kwame, if there is one team Kwame doesn't respect, it is that team. He doesn't respect them.
Arsenal. Arsenal is not a team.
They are going to dig. What Ateta says is going to dig and dig.
Team be
Ateta says is going to dig.
I spit on them.
Ateta
For those
says
who
he's
don't
going
know,
to
Kwame
dig.
has a very
I don't know what he's
interesting.
digging.
He has a very interesting picture at the Emirates. Maybe one day he himself will show it. I won't be the one.
That's what that picture is. It's censored. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me pick your thoughts. Let's look at the game. Give me your quick thoughts in like 3 minutes before I go for the break, and then pick the thoughts of Graham and then Sichu.
I expect us to win. Arsenal have only won 2 games at Old Trafford in the past 18 years. I do not expect them to come there on opening day and do one over us. I'll be very, very disappointed if that happens. Even at our worst, we were able to compete with them last season. Amarim, I think he faced them a couple of times, three times actually. The first one they did us with set pieces. Yeah. We won in the FA Cup. We drew at Old Trafford in a game that we should have won if we had a striker on the football pitch. So we have some firepower. I expect us to surprise them because the whole world expects us to lose actually or have a tough game against the Arsenal. But I expect us to surprise them. You just go out there and then show us what this whole Cunha Mbumo Shesko thing is all about, and then get a win and then just kick on. Yes. I expect us to beat Arsenal, yes.
Okay. But just by way of updates, the coach has said that Onana, Zegzi, and Sesko are all available for this game. As you know, Zegzi and then Onana have not played any part in preseason so far. You know my thoughts on Bayern there. He's a cool goalkeeper I trust. Even with 3 hands or 4 hands. Still don't trust that guy. His kick is something else. I mean, it's not one. So I'm just curious to see if the coach throws Onana in. The goalkeeping situation is one that has, I mean, come under huge scrutiny. I mean, as to whether we sign a goalkeeper or not.
Because of Baleba, we've not even had time to discuss
We
Onana.
even had that. Yes, we've had time to discuss that. But I want to make a quick turnaround, guys. Let me make a quick turnaround. When I come back, I'll get to Graham and I'll pick his thoughts. We'll do an extensive analysis or preview of the game against Arsenal, and I'll get to Cicho to pick his thoughts on that. And then we'll do a big preview about United and the league and what to expect here on United and everything. Well, let's make a quick turnaround. When I come back with my team, we'll be discussing all of this here on this podcast. We'll see you in a bit. All right, thank you, and welcome back to United and Everything Football Podcast. My name is Kwame, and I'm here with Kwame, and I'm here with Graham as well as Cicho. So thank you very much, guys. Graham, let me get to you. United Arsenal.
I don't know why I feel excited about this match, and why do I also feel excited when United is playing Arsenal? Because when United is playing against a low block side, teams that sit deep, we struggle. And when we are playing against the likes of the Cities and Arsenals, I enjoy the game because, I mean, these two teams always want to play wide football, open up and run, players run. Why? Mm-hmm. I think against Arsenal, we're going to see a lot of openings for Mbeumo, because I've always wondered why Ahmad cannot play or have that flair like Saka, because every time Saka is on the ball, you see how dangerous he is. But luckily, we have Mbeumo there to do that sort of, play. Then again, when I saw Martinelli play at the time, I was like, wow, this guy can actually run with the ball and also, cause a lot of havoc. Now we have Cunha and somehow like Martinelli type. So again, what was our problem up front? Haaland, like Kwame said, he's never proven, he's like a ghost anytime you're playing, because you don't really see him. Now you have Chevsko, and I feel like there's a certain fresh air up front, and the players themselves, they feel like, I mean, Kwame and everybody, you realize that even the players are excited that Chevsko has joined United because they feel like there's a striker. Now we have a striker in the team. Like, we've got the real striker, to help us. And that's the sense of feeling I get. And I've seen the comparison between, what's the name? I always find it difficult to pronounce his name. Is it Gyökeres or something like that?
Yeah, Gyökeres.
And the comparison between him and Benjamin Chevsko, I think the whole talking point about the match is between him and Chevsko. And who's going to bang in the goals and who's going to be more effective in this match. But I am, like we have talked about, the match will be won from midfield and the attack. I tell you what, because after themselves are also struggling defensive-wise. And we are all going to the attackers of Arsenal and that of Man United. And I believe that is going to be an exciting game, honestly. But I expect United to win at Old Trafford, honestly.
Cicho, Arsenal. What do they have in their arsenal this season? I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see their preseason and the kind of signings they've made. What do you think? What kind of danger do you think they'll pose to Man United at Old Trafford?
Well, I think for the first time in a very long while, they've got a proper typical number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Who can sniff at anything, and Amarim will know him better than anybody in the Premier League. Of course, he's worked with him more recently. So yeah. And now that means that Arsenal are not necessarily very predictable. We could predict Arsenal a little bit because we look at Havertz will come short. But when you have a proper number 9 in the box, their movement can sometimes be unpredictable. And that is one thing about Gyökeres. He can run down the middle. He can run the channels. He's a good fit for a counter-attacking football. When he play the ball to his feet, he likes it. Well, it's not the greatest head of the ball, but he's physically, he can be dominated. So I've got that. And if he can occupy those centre backs of Man United, then the more dangerous players with the ball at their feet can also have enough space to make things work. One of the things that didn't necessarily help Arsenal over the last couple of seasons was because Odegaard will come close to Saka. Kai Havertz will join the party there, and there's nobody really in the box. At times, the Clemens will make the run, but the place becomes very congested.
Yeah.
But what happens now is because of Gyökeres, who's predominantly going to stay in the box, Saka is likely to get his 1v1s without necessarily having a crowd at his end, save for Martinelli or whatever. They've also improved their bench because now they've got Madueke on the. I'm not a big fan of his, but I mean, we've seen him play for Chelsea. He can be a problem on his day for opponents on his day. They've got Madueke on the bench. They've got Norgard on the bench. Then they've got Zubimendi who's coming to replace Thomas Partey. Arsenal still need a lot of games or a couple of games to really click together. So individually on paper, they look good. But if they're going to win the title, they need to play a lot more together and click together. We didn't see Rice Zubimendi play a lot of minutes in preseason. So they probably would be newbies to each other in a competitive game. And then we'll see how that works out. They'll miss Gabriel Magalhaes. I think he's their more important center back, even more than Saliba.
Why is he injured? Is he injured?
Their game. So I'm understanding.
Wow.
Alafieri will play with Saliba, and that could be some good news for Man United's attackers. So yeah, Arsenal will still need to convince us and show all of us what the Victor Gyökeres acquisition it's all about. But I think it's a good one if they can play to his strength. It's a good one if they can find him early. It's a good one if he can run the channels as we've seen him to do. And Man United now have got that on their hand to deal with.
When you're talking about your team, United, you think that it's a done deal for Arsenal?
Look, I think Man United's best out of this game could potentially be a draw. It really could potentially be a draw. Again, United have got good players in attack, but it is yet to also pick up. And Man United's attack is new. It's completely new. If you look at what Amarim, Mbeumo, Shevko, Cunha, it's new, and it's going to be great. At the season, the coaching is good, and the framework behind them is good. But they also would need time to really understand each other in gel.
Oh, you think this game has come too early for them, yeah?
I think this game has come too early for them. But for Arsenal, it's the framework is set. The framework for Arsenal is set. And so they don't need too much going to get it stuck in. But for Man United, I'm afraid that especially in attack, it is too new. The game has come too early. I'm not a big fan of Ahmad playing down the left, down the right as a wing back. Yeah. So there are a couple of things about this Man United team that needs games to fine tune, and maybe a big and tough opponent like Arsenal might have come too early. I think United's best result out of this game, maybe there could be a draw.
This is where we shock the world. I also have reservations about Ahmad starting to at right wing back.
Yeah. Kwame thinks United will win. Graham thinks United will win. Sicho thinks the best for United will be a draw. I think United will win as well. I think United will win. Sometimes
I hope so.
It's not just about the quality or whatever Arsenal is. Sometimes the venue, and sometimes the occasion, and sometimes a few more things that goes into this game. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's some feedback. I'm not
some
sure.
noise here.
Yes,
there's some feedback.
I can hear myself from someone's end. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue. But Graham, let me get to you. The season generally, United. What is your expectation after 38 games in the Premier League? What do you expect?
I think I don't want to be too much ahead of myself because I was too expectant last season with Ten Hag in there. I thought that last season was going to be great for us, but going 10 games and looking at the way we're struggling with the false nine and all those things, it kind of like deflated me a little bit. But I am particularly excited this season because of the attack United is kind of like having now. And I don't think, like you all agreed, there's no excuse now because how many goals did we concede last season? How many goals did we score last season? In terms of if you do a combination, in terms of the attackers, the number of goals they scored. I believe that we were one of the worst teams going forward in terms of goal scoring. Reason we've gone in for Chesko, and the expectation is that he will bang in the goals, provided he's fed well, and provided we're able to understand the way he plays. And that's why I'm saying that the whole headline is between Victor and that of Chesko in this match as to who is the best striker currently and who is able to adapt quickly into the English system. Like we are agreeing, both teams are now coming to play. I think Victor has already played in the I don't know if he's played in the Premier League before.
Played in the
Championship, not played in the Premier League. So it's new terrain for both of them, a new team for both of them. But like I said, we're having the difficult start, Man United, honestly. After Arsenal, I think Manchester City will come in early as well. I'm not too sure Liverpool's also in the picture as well. So we've got these tough games coming up, and that would only make things a little bit hazy for us until we are done with these hurdles. Maybe after that, we'll settle in playing the smaller teams. I would have wished like Liverpool just did it to Bournemouth. If probably we're playing the Leeds or whatever, I'll be okay with it. But against Arsenal, it would test the pulse of the team, and then perhaps going forward. So when I see predictions coming in, and I just like the way my brother Sichu is also trying to play by the gallery, not by the gallery, but taking it cool, calling for draw and all those. A draw will be disappointing. I have a belief. Second.
So did you just say second? You said it so like we barely had it. Say it with
your full chest.
I believe
say it well.
I'm believing.
You know, like he said it in a way like as if he doesn't want anybody to hear he said it.
It's like, hey,
you said we'll finish second.
It's like you are speaking in the microphone and you are like, hey. Pretend as if you didn't hear, but we'll be second.
No, because I don't want to. I just want to see the first game. That's all I want. The first game.
Yeah.
I just want to see it, and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
For me, the first game will determine.
First game will determine everything. Sijo, your thoughts?
Yeah, look. One of the things that went against Amarim last season was that he barely had enough contact time with the boys because it was a game every day, it's a game every 3 days. So when he came in, and when results were not going his way, like it was affecting the mood, the confidence, the belief in the players, and what have you.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were some players who wanted to get out, the Rashford issues, and da. This season's a very clean slate. Fortunately for him, he himself has denied the club from going to play in the Champions League because he lost the Europa League to Spurs, a game that he shouldn't have lost, but he lost it. So right now, this season, he has a lot of contact time. He's had pre-season, he has contact time with the boys, a game a week until when everybody else is playing midweek in either FA Cup or Premier League. So now he's got enough time to prepare the boys. When I look at the fixtures that we've got in our first 8 fixtures, right? I think you're talking about the first 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
First 8, they are very tricky fixtures, I don't lie to you, because you go to the Craven Cottage after you've played against Arsenal at home. Fulham is a very settled squad. Very little have changed about the team. They know themselves. They've got amazing fans. They play some very flamboyant football. So it can be very tricky for Man United. It's not easy. Then it's Burnley at home. You expect Man United to get over Burnley. But as soon as that is done, you go to Etihad to play against Man City. Now, teams like City, Arsenal, these two teams know that the way they start the season this term is crucial. They can't afford to have slow starts because Liverpool got ahead of these teams psychologically last season. Liverpool, this lost team from last season, they've lost the league. If Arsenal and City were starting the league well, and then Liverpool had to be under the pressure.
Yeah.
But Front got a very good start. Arsenal and City got slow start, and psychologically, Liverpool built momentum from there. They wouldn't want that to happen this season. Unfortunately for Man United, we are starting with these two teams in our first 4 games. Then we go away to Brentford. I don't know what Brentford team is going to turn up this season. They always got players we've never heard of.
Yeah.
We've never seen them before. All of a sudden, ballers. Then we play against Sunderland. So then you go to Anfield, then Brighton. So we've got a mixture of tough games and winnable games. But this is the thing. The way you perform in the games we think tough will either derail the momentum or will build the momentum.
Mm.
So you get a good result against Arsenal, then all of a sudden, the Fulham game, you are pumped. You go to Kevin Cotton, you get a result. All of a sudden, City, where are you? We are coming for you. You go to
Mm-hmm.
Etihad, fine, you get something.
Mm-hmm.
So for Man United, it will all be about momentum building. If after all the signings that Amorim has had, we don't win some of these games, we don't play well in them, and we've dropped some points we shouldn't be dropping, conceding funny goals, the pressure is going to build on the club, and our first 8 games could be disastrous because big teams with small blood and they'll come for
You know,
us.
one thing you said that excites me, it has to do with the coach now has contact with the players. And I am seeing something in preseason and even now.
Mm.
The
But
boys,
you already trust the coach now.
no, you see,
I told you they were on opposite sides. I told you
Kwame,
it started to show.
Kwame,
I
no, you
told you.
see, the truth is, for the first time, I agreed with Rashford. For the first time, I said, no, the guys made sense.
Mm-hmm.
You don't win or compete when after every 4 starts you had to sack a coach.
Mm.
And we've been doing this and claiming that we are rebuilding, and we never go anywhere.
Mm.
We're still stuck at where we are. And so it kind of confuses the players a little bit because you start with something, a project with somebody, it doesn't go well, he's gone, another one comes in, he restarts all over again.
Mm.
So just like everybody is like, oh, Amarim, whatever, if it doesn't go where pressure comes, he's gone, another one comes in. And again, we are still where we are.
Mm.
So I am believing, like I said, and let's be all agreed, you decide what you want, we'll give it to you. And he has said there's a project that the owners like. Last season, I wasn't too convinced, especially the time that he came in. I wasn't too convinced. So I was a little bit indifferent what happens last season, especially. But this time, I think he's had the moment. He's got some players. Listen, Cunha was a thorn in our flesh at Wolves. What's his name? Mbemu was disturbing everybody. So you brought them. You've got very good attacking players. Now, let's see how you compete with the likes of Arsenal. And just as you said, last season, we were not the best team, but we beat Arsenal. At least, we beat them. You know, so
Okay.
it's not like we can't. We can. You mentioned a team that I went to Old Trafford. One of my professors, a season ticket holder, got me a very nice ticket, pitch side against Brentford, 3-0 at Old Trafford. 70th minute, I left the stadium. I got angry and left.
Mm-hmm.
So this season, I'm hoping. Unfortunately, I'm not going to.
Ghana need to the left stadium. Ghana empty stadium. We are shared like 2 minutes.
Boss. But see,
his heart was broken.
When United is down and it's 70-something minutes, the gate is opened. Yeah. So you and I think that there's a certain renewed sense of hope and belief in the team and the fans. I mean, at Manchester, that this season will be better. And it all boils down to the fact that they believe that Ineos have done something that people didn't expect them to do, especially with the signings that we had and the amount of money we sent. Because, listen, we still haven't got our players exiting. Apart from Rashford going on loan, we haven't got anybody going.
Yeah.
But we're able to get the target that the coach says he wants. So that's sort of the belief.
The manager has been backed.
Anyway.
Yes. Kwame,
Kwame, wrap it up for me on your season's expectations, and let's bring it to a close.
I told you that if we sign Baleba, I even expect us to challenge. Now Baleba is not coming. So it's back to what the club's expectations actually is. They want Europe, top 6 finish.
Yeah.
I'd go just a slight step further and say top 5 finish because we have to qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah.
The qualification for the Champions League is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Financially, it's even important because of the risks you're actually taking. If we don't qualify for the Champions League, I'll be disappointed. Extremely disappointed. Because we can't spend this much, and I'm sure we're not even done with spending.
Yeah.
And then you come and tell us that we are going to finish 8th, 7th, 9th, 10th. That's our new normal. It can't be our new normal, right? I want to treat the last couple of years as a blip in a way because of the whole ownership change. A lot of radical stuff have happened at the football club, but things seem to have settled now.
Yeah.
So let's just get back to being Manchester United, being at the top end of the table and not being afraid we're going to finish 8th, 9th, 7th, 10th, 12th, God knows what. Top 5, top 6 finish. It's okay. Win a trophy and then
finish
we're back.
For Kwame. I side with that as well. I don't think with the quality
top four flats. Top four
flats.
Top four.
Graham says second.
I'm not
Kwame says top 5. Sicho says top 4. We are winning the league. We are winning the league.
I didn't see that one coming. No.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Graham, for joining us. Thank you, Sicho. Thank you, Kwame. It's been fun having you guys on the podcast today. Thank you. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Always welcome.
Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for sharing. Hopefully, come with a bang after we've beaten Arsenal. So, Graham, thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Thank you, Sicho.
Thank you very much, guys. Sicho, do a link up, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right. All the best.
Nice.